Great, we're recording. So, to kick us off then, I suppose, from your perspective, what do you believe are some of Sport Ireland, what do you believe are the biggest strengths of Sport Ireland's current research and evaluation work?
Just to get started, I don't have anything particularly valuable to say here, but I think the first question on your page there was, how aware are we of Sport Ireland's research and evaluation work? And I have to say, I'm a new member of the board, but I would have to say, in all honesty, I'm totally unaware of Sport Ireland's research and evaluation work. And it's not just, I probably should be more so, and I've been involved in sport. I spent 5 years recently as chairman of Golf Ireland. I spent 4 years before that as a member of the board of Athletics Ireland. And yet I'm very unaware of what's going on. It may well be my own fault, but I find the two NGBs I was involved in were so concerned with doing their own work and running their own sports that they didn't have too much time to get involved in Sport Ireland's research and evaluation work. So I guess the first question would be, what is going on there? And I don't really know too much about it.
And Vega, if I could just add in on Iggy there, I think probably the piece that comes out and is more topical is the Sports Monitor and the results from the Sports Monitor. I think that is probably the only piece, and I mean this respectfully, but that probably is the only piece that comes out. And, pieces are taken and analysed out there depending on the highs or the lows in it. But I would think, and very much like Iggy, when I was in my NGB, we were just so focused on trying to do what we were trying to do. And I do remember a call coming out for NGBs who wanted to include some piece of research with their organisation. But most people at the time, depending on the time of the year, you're just so caught up. So I think making it relevant is probably a big piece for people out there.
I want to agree there with Francis, because the same thing, when I was involved in the NGB, we were actually aware that there was research, but we didn't necessarily feel that it was particularly relevant to us. It was kind of sport in general and getting people out there in general, but it didn't seem necessarily very, and I don't mean it had to be specific to our sport, but it just seemed a bit remote to our own day-to-day business, I think. Although obviously now as a member of the board, I'm very aware of everything that we do.
Yeah.
Can I just make sure I heard the question properly, because I lost contact there for a second while you were speaking initially.
So just your perspective on what you consider the strengths of Sport Ireland's current research and evaluation work.
Well, I suppose just in terms of, I would have a broad enough awareness of what's going on. So in terms of the evaluation piece, I'd be very aware of the evaluation that happens in relation to the LSPs. And I've seen quite strong work done there. I suppose what I may have struggled with in the past, even as a member of the committee, but not so much now, is kind of understanding all the strands. So I think, Francis, was it you that mentioned the Sports Monitor? I would be familiar with that, and I suppose I worked in a data-driven job for a long time, and people in general were aware of that Ipsos work. So I suppose in a sense I would have been aware of the Children's Physical Activity Study, CSPAP. Am I saying that right? So yeah, they would have been the pieces. I suppose the value in it, I suppose a huge value, what I thought was really helpful was the fact that there was data, that we managed to get data during the pandemic. And it wasn't scheduled, but that we managed to hop on that bus, so to speak. So I think that's been really helpful. Even, I suppose, some of the initiatives, it's in a